Good evening, folks. How you doing out there? Welcome to the Omega Files. I'm your host, Dr. Freedom, and tonight we've gathered to have a little talk because we've gotten a little backlogged over the course of the year, because I had to work a lot of 6-day weeks and, also other things going on. So we decided to take a little backtrack and start picking up on some things that, we've left behind because, face it, we've probably got about another month or two before we see any new Doctor Who. So today we've decided we're going to sit down and discuss the movie Deadpool 2 because we did discuss Deadpool 1. And, to me, I thought it was very well done. I enjoyed it. Laughed my ass off just like I did with the first one. But I want to hear your guys' views on it. So when I go to you, go ahead and give me your, opinion about Deadpool 2, your opening thoughts. We're going to start at the bottom this time. Let's start with Beefhead.
As a movie, I enjoyed it tremendously. It gave me what I got from the original movie, which was a lot of, good, what seems like, slapstick humor, a lot of clever in-jokes, Easter eggs for, the people who get the joke and are followers of the comics or followers of the previous movie. The problem is while I enjoyed it, and it ticked a lot of the boxes from the first movie, it was a surprise the first time. In the second movie, you've come to expect it. And it fell apart, the second one. It struggled to get my attention from the start. The point of killing his girlfriend just seemed like a bit of a lazy excuse. And the thing is, then you've got the point of where you're trying to replace his girlfriend with Russell, the kid. And there's supposed to be an emotional connection with it. But there was never a point where you actually got, for me, any form of realistic connection between Russell and Deadpool. And because there wasn't that, it lost a lot of the believability factor for me in that point then. It just became, the pulp culture references and the jokes are good, but then your main story falls apart a bit, which is a shame. Hopefully something that's corrected by the end of it. But, it did what it did. It was a movie about family. He was going to start a family, then he lost his family. By far and means, the best part about it was the X-Force stuff, because that's him sort of finding and making his own new family. So by any means, that was the best part of the movie for me, but hugely enjoyable nonetheless, even though it did have some shortfallings.
Alrighty. Okay, let's move over to Philip.
I get it. I enjoyed it. When you like we said, when you try and put something into another movie that's basically the same as the first one, it does tend to sort of run a bit. What's what I'm looking for? It does run in a sense. It's kind of like, can you do it a second time? Yes, they did to a certain point. They did it a second time good with all the jokes and all the action that goes with it. I think I prefer this movie as opposed to the first one because there was a lot more going on and a lot more cohesive for me as well. And it was fun. That was the main thing. It was still fun. Whether it would be fun for a third movie, I don't know. You can do it a third time. But this one did hold up as well as the first one for me. And some of the actors were very good as well.
Okay, William.
Hey, now, everybody. I'm going to agree with Beep. It was a great movie. Maybe they, here and there, I know what he meant by the plot like that was a little bit weird with the relationship between Deadpool and Russell like that. But I'm not saying it's a bad thing because in reality, he didn't really want, if you look at it, he didn't want nobody because since he lost his girlfriend. So that's why you could tell he kept pushing the kid away when they were both in jail. It took for him to die twice to realize, and of course Vanessa telling him that he has to go back to protect the kid because and the way he had to because by doing that he prevented what happens to Cable. But you got to give this movie credit that he introduced Cable to the movies, introduced Domino, a bunch of knuckleheads called the X-Force, which we ain't gonna touch what happened to these characters like that. But you gotta hand it that it had a lot of jokes, a lot of dirty jokes, And a lot of jokes that you gotta either seen the last movie or get be in the comics to understand it. But it's real great. I know the question that's going on right now because of what happened a day or two ago was Disney reacquiring the Fox rights to the X-Men universe and the Fantastic Four. But they already been said that Deadpool will be in another thing, and they was to retain its R rating. Now, like Phil said, how can they do another one? How can they up it? Well, since the one way to do it is have him go against another hero. Now that they're back with Disney, like he could face off against Captain America, Mr. Cowboy, Boy Scout. So that'll be two interesting characters to face each other off. Let's see you doing that movie if Captain America ever says a profanity. That makes it a funny thing. Like it took almost to the end of the movie for Colossus to say the F-bomb. So that's later on. We worried about that later on down the road. But I gotta give this movie credit because the first movie was not a big budget and it made a lot of money. So you knew they was gonna make a sequel. So this was a little bit more than the last movie, but it made his money back and then some. So you got to give him props for that. And it got people back interesting to reading the comics and getting them in trade paperbacks. So you got to give props for that. So I look forward to see the next one or whenever they show up with the other Marvel Cinematic characters. So I look forward to that, especially with that big mouth of his. So he ain't gonna miss that. Trust me.
Okay, next up, Ryan.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie for what it was. The first one I also really enjoyed. I think where it counts, which is with the humor, with the action, it's really good. The plot is a bit by the numbers, sort of girlfriend dies at the beginning, he has to deal with that. It's not the most complicated of plots, but it doesn't necessarily need to be because they focus on what I think is important for the Deadpool character. Would it be good to get a good story? Sure. I'm not saying it's a bad story. I'm just saying it's a very sort of basic plot line that they have for the movie, just like the first one was basically revenge flick sort of plot. But as I mentioned, what they get right, which is all the humor, all the jokes, they get absolutely right. I think one of my favorite ones is the Martha joke at Batman v Superman's expense. I thought that was really funny. Personally, I don't have a problem with that scene, but I can understand the humor and why people wouldn't, so that's why I found that particularly funny. The one thing I didn't quite like was they didn't reference X-Men 3 Juggernaut, which I thought they could have done like they did with Origins Deadpool. They could have really took the piss out of him for that, and they didn't. So it was a bit like, you can take the piss out of everything else, but when it comes to your own sort of franchise, you don't really do it as much as you do to other franchises. But yeah, I was sitting there waiting for that, and they didn't do it. But other than that, Juggernaut was absolutely fantastic. Sadly, I got spoiled for the fact he was in the movie. But nonetheless, it was no disappointing factor to see him and how well realized he was. And yeah, I think that's all I can really say about it.
Okay, Lady Neil.
Anyways, can you hear me now? Okay, cool. Hello, everyone. Deadpool 2. I watched the first one, fell in love with the first one. I absolutely love the second one as well, but I love the first one better. What I love best is her name is Yukio. I love her. I really, really do. Because anytime she said, "Hi, Wade," he would pop up and say, "Hi, Yukio." I love those two characters. Oh, now I'm going to butcher the girl's name. Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Is that right? Yes! I love her too. I love how they, that's her partner. Yukio is her partner. I like that. I like how they push that emphasis in there a little bit. I thought that was kind of cool for X-Men. Kind of rare to see that. Let's see. The bit with, I think her name was Vanessa. I think her name was. She died. His girlfriend or wife or whatever. That part was okay. I didn't like the bit with the whole "I'm dying, I get to see you" bit. I didn't really like that part at all. I felt that was kind of lame. And plus, all the way at the end, I was just like, yeah, he went back and did what he needed to do and saved her. I said, well, yeah, that's kind of blah. But I just like all the other little cameos that happened at the end, but I'm not going to mess with those. Overall, this was a good movie. I enjoyed myself. I laughed my head off, and I would watch it again, definitely.
Let's move it on over to AJ.
Hi there. I enjoyed the movie. It was really good. I preferred the first one though because of all the verbal banter, you know, the constant comparing things to other things and the swearing and whatnot, just how it went on and on and on in the first movie, I thought was brilliant. The second one wasn't so much there. It seemed it was a bit more toned down for family friendly. I did love all the cameos in the movie though. It was just absolutely brilliant. All the little winks and nods to other pop culture references, which we might mention a little later on. I think the funniest part was where Deadpool's riding around in Professor X's chair and he's knocking vases over and he's like, look at all these paintings of these old white men. I need my rape whistle. Just messed up. But I got to agree that a third one might be a bit of a stretch unless they come up with a groundbreaking villain or storyline to go with it, because to kill off his girlfriend was his raison d'etre for what happened in the movie. And then to now bring her back, I don't really see the point in bringing her back. I mean, now he's got time travel. He can, if she dies, he can always just bring him back again. I didn't really like that concept to it to a degree because it's lazy writing and also it's very cheap and dirty a little bit, that part I thought. But that's just me, you know, being a bit of a bitch about it, I guess.
Let's move up to Josh.
I'm not really that familiar with, you know, the Deadpool universe as far as the comics and stuff. I've only seen like the movies, and I really like, you know, the character of Deadpool, and I think Ryan Reynolds can really pull it off. But I have to agree that the first one was better than the second one, because I really don't think they thought that it was going to do as good as it did. So they kind of took more creative liberties with the first one than the second one. And I didn't like the whole Russell Deadpool thing. I just thought that was kind of dumb. I didn't like the whole, it just felt forced with the whole him caring about the kid and all that stuff. It didn't seem like something Deadpool would do. But I liked the movie overall, but the first one was definitely better.
Okay, Connor.
Yes, not being a fan of superheroes, it's kind of like this isn't in my genre, but Deadpool kind of like takes it out of that, and it truly is the funniest stuff in cinema at the moment. I like them both the same, both films, the first one and the second one. I think I'm one of the only ones. Like I took this one more as like a spoof of Terminator than anything really. And when you take it like that, it kind of like, even though it's like it run its course, like, because it is pretty much the same as the first one, humor wise, and everything. I don't think that this movie would have been half as good as it was though if it wasn't for its cast, because obviously you've got the man of the moment, Josh Brolin as Cable, but I think the one that steals it actually is Zazie Beetz as Domino. She's amazing in this, and she's amazing in everything, to be fair. And Ryan Reynolds, of course, is just absolutely hilarious as Deadpool. It's just laugh after laugh after laugh, and when a movie is genuinely entertaining like that, you don't even need to really have a story or a one that makes logical sense or is groundbreaking to have a good time with it. And I think that's kind of like what Deadpool is to Marvel. It's just kind of like that mindless, fun sort of thing. But as I was saying, like the cast is just like T.J. Miller. You've got Bill Skarsgård's in there, Rob Delaney, just a whole list of actors that like are top Hollywood at the moment. One thing that I absolutely loved, being a fan of James Bond, is its title sequence, because that is proper tropey, and it is brilliant. And also Celine Dion, not a fan of her, but that song was just hilarious as well. The music video is equally as good. Overall, yeah, it was just great fun, as Deadpool should be. Great humor overall, and it is probably the best thing that Marvel are producing at the moment, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, if you get a chance, go look up the music video for that song, for Ashes by Celine Dion. It is freaking hilarious, especially at the end. I won't give it away, but we have to tone it down. But what amazed the hell out of me was, they brought Josh Brolin in to play Cable, and the last time I saw Cable, personally, he looked like that. And that was all the way back in the 1990s X-Men animated series. That's the only reason I knew who Cable was, is because that series right there covered a lot of ground, especially regarding, various Marvel characters, the X-Men and whatnot. So that's where I really got my education on the X-Men, Cable, and all that stuff.
And the shoulder pads.
Yep. So I thought it was brilliant they brought him in. It's kind of weird, Josh Brolin, because we all know he also plays Thanos, currently in that movie series, and the guy's just talented as hell wherever you see him. I got a kick out of the Hello Yukio. Well, every time they did that, I got a giggle as well, I have to admit. But what really got me rolling, like I said, I'm going to ask you guys what your favorite scene was, and we'll go to open mic. My favorite scene probably out of the whole movie was in the mansion when they said, couldn't the studio throw us a bone? It's like, it seems like you two are the only ones always here. Couldn't we at least get that guy with the pigeon wings? And sure enough, they pan around, and then there's that open door, and in there I think it's like James McAvoy, Beast, Quicksilver, and all that, and then Beast just walks up quietly, closes the door. That had me rolling right there. It really did. So, all right, anyone want to share their favorite scene? Go ahead and throw your hand up, and I'll go to you. Okay, Philip got his up first, so we'll go to Philip. Go ahead, Philip.
I think my favorite scene of there are quite a few, but I've just picked this one mainly, is the prison truck scene where the fight's where they're chasing after it, and then when they get into it, you got what's his name, Domino, actually getting into the truck before Deadpool does, and he's like, how the fuck do you get there so quickly, and all that kind of business. And then when the whole thing crashes, explodes, she's gracefully in slow motion, landing into, she lands into safety in slow-mo, and it's like, it's that big panda thing. And whereas Deadpool, he lands in a bit of a mess, and I kind of like that part of it as well. But the whole sequence of that train, that truck, is my favorite scene out of the film so far.
Okay, AJ had his hand up next.
I had two. At the beginning of the movie where you see Deadpool's got his mask off and he's walking along and he drags his hand across the wall and takes all the stuff off the shelf. That's a wink and a nod to the Daredevil movie. The other thing was, bloody hell, where was I? Just saw it on my list here. Shite. Where he's in the apartment after his girlfriend had died, and finds in the crawl space the bag of cocaine or whatever it is, and then next to it is the cure for blindness. He wasn't lying from the previous movie. And he sticks the cocaine up in his mask and poof.
Okay, Connor, you are next. Go ahead.
I kind of have three. I think the parachute landing is absolute comedy genius. There's also the scene right at the beginning where he's running out of the building, and is it Dopinder is at the other end with the taxi, and he's like swearing and shouting and like start the effing car, and he's just running down, and you just see him come into shot and jump through the window. That's hilarious as well. And also I thought Cable's introduction, like one great thing that you look for in a film is how they introduce the villain, and I think Cable's very first scene was amazing as well. That lighting, it was just in total darkness almost. That was amazing as well. So that's my three favorite scenes.
Okay, William, you had your hand up next. So
What stood out for me was every time Deadpool got injured, it was an injury no normal person should be able to get up from, whether it's from falling off the table with cable in the prison, that truck crash, or getting impaled in the gate in the head, and of course him busy trying to hug Colossus about it, so he pulled it off. You gotta give props. You gotta give him props, because if it wasn't for this healing factor, he should have been dead many times. But they make the use of these injuries that you like. It's impossible, and at the same time, in some places you're gonna laugh your head off. Be like, this is total BS. Like that, no normal person be able to get up. So that really stood out. You got to give him props for that, and you got to give credit whoever thought of it placing music in certain areas, like when he's fighting in Japan, and you hear "Play It, Dolly," and you hear that song going off, and of course the Celine Dion one going up, and then some of the other songs, especially like when he's being hugged by Colossus and all that. I mean, they play the music in the right spots, and you're like, of all the songs they play, it had to be this one. It had to be this one. I mean, it really stood out. They're pretty funny. So I gotta give them props for that. Somebody took the time to time it right. So that stood out. Those are two things I remember off the bat.
Yeah, I know that's kind of scary. I never thought I'd hear 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton in an action sequence. I never did, where people's limbs are getting severed, people are blowing up, bullets are going off and on. And a key trivia point, they are talking about doing an actual sequel to the original 9 to 5 movie with the original cast returning. Side note for you folks. Okay, Josh, you were up next anyway. Go on ahead.
I'm kind of weird. I really like the opening sequence and how they fit with like the opening credits and stuff. With the whole thing with the cinematography, and it was the blind old lady. I thought that was hilarious. And then the other one I thought was really funny was the whole Professor X thing and the world here and him running over everything. I just thought that was freaking. I don't know why I thought that was funny, but I died laughing. And I'm trying to think of the other one that I thought was funny. Oh yeah, when I thought it was like ridiculously funny, like how after everything that happened with Vanessa, he was just able to get her back and stuff. I thought that was hilarious because I was like, that's like a Deadpool type thing to do. It's like it just makes no sense, but that's what Deadpool is. It's not supposed to make sense, so I thought that was funny.
Okay, Neo, you're up next.
Oh, I think I have about, let me see. The one I like is when he's getting the, X-Force people together, and they're trying to find the invisible. They're looking all over the place. It's like, oh my gosh. That was funny. Let's see, the next one, again, it's about the X-Force bit. When they're all jumping out the door, and was it window, helicopter or airplane? And oh my goodness, how they were getting somebody got in a bus. Somebody was in one of those little grinding things, and he was like, we're X-Force, X-Force. And it was like with spit, acid spit. It messed up poor Peter MVP. Here we go. What was the other one? There was one more that I liked.
You got hit by an electrical wire.
The special, the knife thing in the prison. He was putting some special stuff in there, that little Russell nasty boy. I call it special juice, since I can't tell you what it is. You gotta watch the movie to find out.
It's a prison purse.
There you go. That was hilarious. Oh, and what's his name? He was, the scene where it was Domino. I think Cable was there. The other guy he met at the bar, and he was little. Remember Deadpool was little? He had little feet or something, and it was like he was trying to walk again like a little kid. It was hilarious.
Yeah, the one guy landed right in the blades of a helicopter. Oh, yeah. Connor, go ahead. You were up next.
Will was mentioning the music. One of the funniest things I thought was probably the biggest music fad of all time, dubstep, getting mentioned several times. And then it actually added to the fight scenes to have dubstep playing over it, which is kind of strange because I wouldn't put two and two together and get four with that. And also, as Will said, the injuries. I think getting ripped in half by Juggernaut was by far the funniest thing, and then his top half being worn on Domino's back was just even funnier. It's just incredible humor, to be fair.
Okay, Beef, you are up next.
Yeah, I got to agree with some of the chances, like the resultant growing back of the body after having it ripped in half. So where he's got a child-sized member and everything like that. So everyone's like equally horrified when they're walking into the room, and he's got his parts hanging out and everything like that. Is superb. But also I've got to say I like the X-Force audition process, and I also like the scenes in the prison. To be honest with you, because for a comic book fan like me, it's how you've got someone from Mojo World, Shatterstar, into this, when you've got no history of that in any of the movies, is a hell of a feat. And I think even one of the characters, if you look in the background, which is a big old Deadpool villain, is T-Ray. You see him in the background with the white hair and the plaster on his nose. That was a character that I was hoping to see in the Deadpool movie in some way, shape or form, and it showed up in a cameo in the background. I like that. That was such a superb little touch.
Okay, Philip.
The others, going back to the little leg scene thing. I like the bit where he's crossing these little baby legs, and one of the guys said, "What is that?" And then the other guy says, "Basically, this thing." And I thought that was quite funny. That's the funniest part of it. And who would have thought that Juggernaut got quite an arse? There you go.
But yeah, I was just really glad that somebody finally got the Juggernaut right, because, oh man, okay. This was the Juggernaut, of course, from Last Stand, and it was like freaking horrible. I'm not kidding. It's for one, he suddenly has like an Australian accent. He has no relation to Professor X. His powers are now mutant abilities, which the Juggernauts never were, and that's why I love the fact they so accurately depicted him, in the movie, with the suit and everything like that. Because that one that was in Last Stand, I have to say, it really, really sucked. It was horrible. But also the fact we find out Ryan Reynolds did the voice for the Juggernaut for this movie, that was also hilarious. I had never known that till today when I looked it up. I was like, damn. But that's what I love about this movie. All the little Easter eggs, all the little things they throw in, like during the one prison scene when Cable shows up and all that. We're being attacked by some freaky old man with the Winter Soldier's arm. I damn near fell out of my seat. Just all the references was just hilarious. Okay, you got your hand up. Go ahead, Neo.
I'm gonna be doing a little bit. It's the Green Lantern bit. I'm sorry when Ryan Reynolds was looking at the script and it's like, oh my goodness. I was like, of course you would do that, Deadpool. Of course you would. It's something you would do. And also the bit when they're fixing that, because I love the Yukio little bits, is when they're fixing the little Cable's time thing, and he left. Deadpool left, and she's like, "Hi, Wade," and he just like shows up like out of nothing and says, "Hi, Yukio." That's like, you know what? Over bad, cute.
Okay, let's run through them real quick, because I think this is the site I found that had the most of them, comprehensively. And Brad Pitt was, of course, the Vanishing guy.
The Vanisher.
And the only time you see him, I think, was when he hit the power lines.
Yep.
I thought that was really, really cool. That was really, really well done. Then Stan Lee, of course, made an appearance. Matt Damon is the hillbilly when Cable appears. And you can tell they've got like a pillow or something shoved up under his shirt. But the acting was just perfect. He was doing a perfect, complete hick accent and had me rolling. And by the way, the shirt he's wearing does have Taylor Swift's actual cats on it. I got a laugh out of that. It really, really had me tickled. I was like, oh, God, you're nuts. And, of course, Ryan Reynolds making fun of himself, especially because Green Lantern was such a freaking disaster. It really was. They put a ton of money into that movie, and it bombed so hard. And I don't know. Maybe it was the bad CGI suit. I don't know. But, okay. And of course, Quicksilver's appearance in the room, with the others. The Essex School that you saw on the thing was actually named after Mr. Sinister, his other identity, if I remember correctly. Now, Cyclops, while himself, he does appear in that room as well, I believe.
Yep.
But if you know your Marvel lore, he and Jean Grey are the parents of Cable.
Yeah.
So, and that's the only reason I know that, of course, the 90s.
No, it's Scott Summers and another woman that looked like Jean Grey.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Jean Grey. All right.
Madeline Pryor, that's her name.
Yep. Alan Tudyk was the other hillbilly in that scene with Matt Damon. And, you know him from everywhere. This guy is an incredible actor. We know him from iRobot, Firefly. He appeared in the Transformers movies. This guy's just everywhere. And, of course, Nightcrawler was in the room in the X-Men mansion as well, if you look way in the back, apparently. Black Tom Cassidy was in one of the scenes. I think he was in the prison, wasn't he? Or was he on
He's the one that got shot in the head by Cable. Mm.
Yeah. And, of course, Beast. Obvious, he's the one who closed the door. Irene Merriweather, I don't know what they're talking about with this one. You know lore better than I do, William.
I forgot where she was at.
Because, let's see. I couldn't really understand what they mean by the reference. I don't know. I don't remember seeing her.
She was one. I think she was one of the reporters in the scene.
She was a reporter, right?
She a reporter.
Maybe I missed it. Okay.
Yeah, she was the news reporter, reporting the news as Deadpool shows up.
Yeah.
Okay, Deadpool 2 writers. All right. Okay, matter of fact, it ties in with the end of Shatterstar. When he accidentally lands on a helicopter blade, his green blinkers are a story, but this is actually a news helicopter and has both a pilot and a cameraman, and these are the two writers who are referred to in the opening credits as the real villains. Storm.
She's in the room.
Yeah, she's in the room also, ain't she?
Yeah.
David Leitch. He's the director of the movie. And he plays one of the mutants who's inside the prison truck.
Oh.
Hope Summers.
That's in the movie. That was the Cable's daughter's name.
Yeah. And, of course, Professor X mentioned all over the damn place again. I especially love the part where he's wearing Cerebro's headgear. It smells like Patrick Stewart. And Buck apparently was...
the one in the bar.
Yeah, he was also based off a character, wasn't he, in the comics? Wasn't he, or was he talking about the first movie? Because we saw Buck before.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course... the Hugh Jackman thing in the end credits where they spliced in part of the movie, with him coming.
Yeah, Origins of Wolverine.
And also the tiny little bit at the very beginning where he has the little tree panorama toy with the dead Wolverine on it, and it's the timer. I gotta laugh at that.
That was so not cool.
There was one more also, the cereal box where he signs his name as Ryan Reynolds on it.
Yep, right. So lots of little Easter eggs, lots of references. That's what I love about this movie. This movie breaks the rules. It really crosses a lot of the genres. He's not afraid to make, like when he's talking to Cable in the one scene. Oh man, you're really dark. Are you sure you're not from the DC universe? I got a giggle out of that as well. But that's what I love about this movie. It breaks all the rules. It's not, it just runs all over the place. And like I said, I think personally to me, it was just as funny as the first one. It's just me. It is hard, to catch the audience by surprise when you're doing this for a second time. And that first movie came on and it took everyone's breath away because they did not, anticipate what was coming. And this one, you've got to come in, do the same things over again, and you don't really catch anybody, because by now they're like, okay, we know this is going to be freaking nuts. All right. So any other thoughts, opinions, and all that? Floor's wide open.
Well, I got a gripe. They didn't treat Vanessa right, because in her character in the comics is Copycat, and she's almost, you could say she could almost have the same powers as Mystique, that she changes appearance. And they haven't ever mention if she's a mutant or not. Because if you read Copycat's origin, it's just almost the same as Vanessa. You know that she was a dancer and all that stuff. Is that in this movie she has not shown to have any mutant powers? And I wish they would show it because she's a good character to look forward to in other movies with that power.
Well, they must have high hopes for the franchise because, like I just read, that Josh Brolin's been signed to do 4 more movies as Cable. Now, whether that's exclusively Deadpool, because they've done this before with, like, they signed Samuel Jackson to play Nick Fury across the whole series of movies. It would be nice if they had Cable get his own movie. If they could set it right and do it right. I could see it, especially with Josh Brolin in the lead. He's an amazing actor. He's come a long way from Bran in the Goonies. He really has. Okay, well, let's go ahead. Let's rate it, and then we'll put it to bed, shall we? All right, so now, since we come to the end, we'll start at the top. Connor, out of 10, how do you rate Deadpool?
I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10.
All right. Josh, 1 to 10, what do you rate it? Okay, I'll skip over to AJ. We'll come back to you in a minute, okay? All right, AJ, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Not as good as the first one, but a lot of really good stuff in there.
Okay, Lady Neo.
Yeah, I'm going to give it about a 9 out of 10 as well. I had myself laughing my head off, and I just love Yukio.
All right, Ryan?
I'm thinking I'll give this one an 8. Just as previously mentioned, the plot bit thin, but it didn't really bug me. I don't feel right giving it higher than an 8, but it's still a really good movie for what it gets right. As mentioned, that end credit scene is amazing, and I really want to see a Deadpool movie where he just goes through time and messes with everything. I think that'd be a really cool thing to do. But I'm that 8 out of 10. Really solid movie.
Okay, William.
Well, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I look forward for it when the next time he appears or when they finally get the crossover with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I would love to see Deadpool go against Captain America, just like I wish Domino could go up against Black Widow and Cable against Iron Man. I mean, those three, that'd be great arguments right there that could last all through the movie.
Okay, Josh, you ready?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I was clicking the unmute button, but then it wouldn't unmute for some reason. I'd probably give it a 8 out of 10 because I really liked it, but it just didn't have that same flair as the first one, but it was still really good. Because, like I said in my opening, Ryan Reynolds really kills it as Deadpool, so it's really, really well done.
Okay. Philip, what do you give it?
I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I'm just worried that if they ever do another movie with Deadpool, that can they keep the same momentum of it and still maintain the freshness of it. So, but overall, 8.5 out of 10.
Okay, Beef.
I'm going to give it a very solid 7 because all the cast is completely on point. Like Connor said, Domino is definitely a standout character in it. There were a lot of production issues with it that we know of reshoots and Tim Miller, the director of the original, leaving. And it's hard to pull the same trick twice. I mean, this one was quite, the plot was a little bit off, and a lot of the humor was based on pop culture reference, whereas a lot of the first one, as well as that, a lot of it was character based. Like if you took the other comedy movie that's just come out from Marvel, which was still Ragnarok, a lot of the humor in that, where it's really funny, was all brought out from the characters itself. It missed a bit of that this time, but I've got to say it was you still go there. It doesn't ruin your enjoyment for it. It's one of those ones where you can just like switch off, sit back, and enjoy it. And if, that's what cinema is supposed to be about. Yeah, for me, it wasn't as great as the first one, but the scope's there to do something new with the third one. So, I eagerly await it, and it's a solid 7 for me.
Okay, I'm going to give it a solid 8. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I think it was just as good as the first one. There were a few parts here and there where they kind of dropped off a bit, but other than that, it's still a good movie to sit back, just relax, and laugh your head off. It really is. So you got to give them that. The fact that this has really, really caught everybody by surprise how successful this series has been so far. Okay, folks, next week, be sure to come back and sit down, and we're going to continue our little catch-up tour because we're going to fade back a few months, and we're going to discuss a little movie that everybody was kind of excited about called Avengers Infinity War, Part 1. So we're going to get onto that and, just kind of catch up to where we are now, at least until we get something interesting, or at least I can find something that BBC won't censor. So till then, good night, everybody. Have a good one. Take care.
Seeing you.